Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. You are listening to the Life Doc, Dr. Anurag, here on the show. If you love watching videos about health, positivity, and motivation, then this is your fix. This is your weekly dose of just that. So please feel free to subscribe if you haven't already. In this channel, what I do is I make videos about health-related topics and I simplify them to the core as much as possible. Alright, so hop on board with me, and today I talk about the question that is probably on everybody's mind. How and when does a pandemic end? So in this video, I will talk about some scenarios regarding how a pandemic might come to an end. So without further ado, let's get right into it. First of all, let us imagine a rather unfortunate scenario. A virus has crossed over from one species to another and it's found its way into a human host. Kind of familiar scenario at the moment, right? It is now on the loose and ravaging through countries worldwide and is now known as a pandemic. Its death toll is on the rise every day. Just imagine, okay? Let's call this virus ABC123 for instance. Okay, so ABC123 is now a pandemic and the World Health Organization will likely label the pandemic as over once this infection is mostly contained and rates of transmission drop significantly throughout the world. The question, how will it come to an end? How will we know that we are now in the endgame? To let you know, I'm not the kind of doctor who can see 14,605 futures, but I do have some probable scenarios that might bring all of this to an end. Okay, the first scenario is that every nation manages to simultaneously bring the virus to its knees, as with other pandemics in the past like SARS in 2003. But given how widespread and so contagious that our virus ABC123 is, I don't feel that there are many countries that can vanquish this virus at the moment. Plus, this scenario is very unlikely because if many people get infected with the virus, then the healthcare systems will come crumbling down, and ultimately, this is not an ideal scenario that can happen. So the odds of worldwide synchronous control from all the other countries is vanishingly small. The second scenario is that the virus ABC123 will do what past flu pandemics have done. It will burn through the world and leave behind enough immune survivors that it eventually struggles to find viable hosts. This is a very morbid kind of a scenario, and this herd immunity scenario would be quick and thus very tempting, but it would also come at a terrible cost. Now, as I mentioned earlier, in our imaginary scenario, this ABC123 is very transmissible and fatal than the flu. It would likely leave behind many millions of corpses and a trail of devastated health systems worldwide. This is a rather unacceptable scenario, especially given the healthcare services that we have. We cannot let people just die of the virus. In the past, maybe it would have been a normal thing because at that time, neither the doctors nor the healthcare providers, no one had a clue about what was going on, and past pandemics like the plague, they swept over countries and they disappeared on their own. But this is not the case right now. So what is the scenario that is likely? This is the third scenario that I'm going to tell you right now. The third scenario is that the countries do their part in this global response and deal with outbreaks in their own country in the best way possible until a scientific breakthrough occurs and natural herd immunity kicks in. Alright, stay with me. The breakthrough can come in the form of a medication that kills the virus or most likely a vaccine against ABC123. This is the best option but also the longest and most complicated. Once a vaccine is certified for use and hopefully made free of cost, hopefully, the virus will find spreading extremely difficult. Why? Simple, because the virus needs host to replicate, and if a host is vaccinated or people develop natural immunity against it, it will just not spread. However, it's unlikely to disappear entirely. Despite all of this, it might still circulate in small populations in the world and cause outbreaks in some parts of the world, but with vaccines and a possible cure, ABC123 will only be a page in the history books. This flu virus ABC123 will probably not go away completely and become just like other flu viruses like H1N1 and H5N1, which cause occasional outbreaks, but due to vaccines against them along with antiviral medications, they don't emerge into pandemics. This might be the fate of the ABC123 pandemic. So what will the end game look like? Well, it will most likely involve a mix of everything: expanded testing and healthcare support, continued social control measures like physical distancing to buy the time for research and vaccines and medication, new antiviral medications to ease symptoms, and finally, a vaccine. So a global response and individual efforts from all of us, the people of this earth, healthcare providers, policymakers, especially you and I. You and I are the ones who will drive this victory home against this pandemic. Through our individual efforts, through the handshakes and hugs we don't do, through the parties we don't attend, the masks and sanitizers that we use, and through the one single goal in mind: live and let live, we can defeat this pandemic. Alright, so that was the video. I hope you enjoyed it. So those were a few scenarios that could lead to the end of a pandemic. And yeah, for more awesome medical content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, The Life Doc, once again. And yeah, on an added note, this is also your weekly dose of health, motivation, and positivity. So until we meet for the next time, live and let live. This is Dr. Anurag, The Life Doc, signing off, saying stay happy, stay positive, and no matter what, always stay strong.